Okay, now my last two questions. How would you describe yourself? Who is Mitesh Gandhi in three words?
Well, dreamer, believer, and doer, right?
Dreamer, believer, and doer. Okay. All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of Stories Worth Telling Bullseyes by M Target. My name is Aldi. I'm your host today. To this episode, we are joined by a very special guest. But before we get to know him more, I'd like to remind you to hit the like and subscribe button. And also don't forget to leave a comment down below and let us know what your thoughts or your suggestion for our future episodes. Okay, without further ado, let's please welcome Mitesh Gandhi. Hello, Mitesh.
Hey, hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good. Thank you. How about you?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Uh, our pleasure. Okay, to start the session, can you please introduce yourself in general about your background, where you grew up, about your past accomplishments, or anything you want to tell us, please?
Sure. My name is Mitesh Gandhi. I'm based out of Bangalore in India, and I've spent about 18 years of uh, my life in the IT industry, working across different companies and different roles, starting from being a software engineer to a project manager to a product slash program manager over the years. I've also had experience of working in small companies and large companies and startups and product companies, right? So, a vast range of experience across the board. I graduated in 2004, primarily based out of India. I did my engineering in Bangalore. I did my master's program in general management from Haas School of Business, University of California in Berkeley. And I've worked across organizations such as Amazon, Freecharge, InMobi, Gojek, and some of the other organizations based out of India. So that's a brief about my professional history. And happy to be on the show and answer any of the questions that you might have.
All right, that was a great introduction. So you have basically an engineering background, but my question is, how about your hobbies, like interests outside your work? Because we heard that you have a sporty character. What can you tell us about it?
Absolutely. I love doing a lot of things. I am a jack of all, master of none kind of a person who enjoys doing different things at different stages of life. Whether it is sports, so there's one sport called frisbee which I play regularly and I enjoy that, and I go for inter-club competitions, and this year we won the competition. I and my team won the competition. I like adventure sports. I did a bike trip across northern India, Spiti Valley, for 8 days. um, I've tried my hands at skydiving, scuba diving, from sports perspective, adventure sports perspective, and I have a, a a dream of doing skydiving in every international city that I visit. So, and I also want to I have a long list of I have a long bucket list of learning surfing, uh, getting certified in scuba diving, and going in that direction. So that is one. The other things that I enjoy is watching a lot of TV shows, movies, going out and watching movies, exploring new and different cuisines, eating different kind of food. I like photography, so I've trained myself in photography. I've done few shoots for a couple of friends and celebrities. I like dancing, so I've tried my hand at dancing a couple of times. So it's you see, it's a varied range of things that I like to do, and that is how I keep myself busy outside work. And that helps me going as well, because I like to also focus on uh, brain hacking for productivity, neuro hacking, call it whatever you want. And I have a desire to study in that field further, and see how that can be merged with productivity at work, and elevate people at work as well.
Okay, that's really interesting. I'm curious though, from this a vast list that you have, do you have any kind of certification or any professional achievement that you had? I don't know, in frisbees or other thing that you mentioned before, like in dancing, or it's just your hobbies?
No, it's just all of these are just hobbies. Like I said, I'm jack of all, master of none. I have too many things that I like to do, and that's why I've not like mastered anything yet. But let's see what happens in future, and if I manage to um, keep my interest focused on one thing, and I can get probably certified in some of the things. Yes.
Wow, that's really cool. Please do let us know if you get any certification in any of that hobbies of
Yeah.
yours. Okay, now what can you tell us about your day-to-day activities? Like, are you busy with something else than work right now, like mentoring class or some similar activities?
So day to day during the week, it is mostly work and family, and some of these activities that I've just mentioned, right? Apart from that, I am an active angel investor, so sometimes I do go through some of the pitches and see some of the business ideas and sit on those calls for on some of the days. Most of the times it's on the weekends when these calls happen, and then these interactions happen where I interact with the founders to see if I can invest in their organizations, in their companies.
All
Um,
right. Hmm.
yeah, so that is one thing. The other thing is, I will be starting mentoring a couple of folks from the Berkeley Haas School of Business program starting January for their capstone project and their stuff. And I'm working on a mentorship program, coaching program kind of a stuff for people who want to move to program management, technical program management, and see how can take that journey to from being a developer or a tester to becoming a technical program management, and what kind of skills and capabilities they need to focus on. Um, and like I said, I my interest lies in helping people live a holistic life, right? So it's not just work, but to identify what are some of the things that are limiting in them, which is limiting them in multiple areas of their life, whether it is work or anything personal that they want to do. So that's one thing that I'm trying to design. I have not yet come with a framework for that, but once I have the framework for that, I'll open slots for coaching and mentoring in that area as well.
Wow, that's really interesting, and I'm definitely interested in joining in one of those course of yours. Thank you for sharing that. So, okay, now we want to get deeper into the core discussion, and we hope it can inspire the listeners more by knowing who Mitesh Gandhi is in depth, and we want to know you here in the capacity of as a program manager. Sorry, and really hope the listeners would can get some motivations and inspirations from you. So Mitesh, you started your career as a software engineer, and now you've become a great program manager. What inspired you to become a program manager, and what motivates you to excel in this role?
I think there are two things which inspired me to become a program manager. One was being able to bring people together to deliver and execute on a common vision, which directly has an impact on your organization. Right? These are
Yeah.
all strategic programs that the organization wants to drive, and it needs a huge amount of cross-functional collaboration. And if you are just a software engineer, you are exposed only to a small part of the overall program. um, but you probably might not understand what is the business impact, what is the customer impact, what are the key metrics that we are trying to drive. All of that might be, you might not be aware of those, right? Being a program manager, has helped me get the wider perspective and bring all the people together while identifying key dependencies, risks, and establishing collaboration models across these cross-functional teams to deliver on something which has a huge impact on the top line and the bottom line of the company. What keeps me motivated and helps me excel at the work is the fact that program management is a field which helps you build relationships, influence without any authority, because that is what because nobody is going to report to you. You're not a subject matter expert on anything, but what you have is the capability to bring people together, and that in itself is it's a capability and a skill which comes by experience, and a lot of repeating multiple things and learning from those things, right? And every day going to work to understand, you never know what challenge might be thrown at you at what point, from which team or which function, depending on their priorities and roadmaps, is thrilling in itself. You have to be able to listen, you have to be able to get a 50,000 feet view, you have to be able to simplify things for people, you have to be able to get people together, you have to be able to win trust, earn trust in the process, and you have to deliver on things that you say that you're going to deliver, right? All this you have to do while keeping the communication both upwards and downwards very, very clear, concise, and open, right? So you see, you have this gamut of challenges which is coming your way in each of the areas, and that keeps you going, and that keeps me going every single day and helps me excel at my work.
All right, that's great. And talking about, you said many times you have to bring many people together. That must come with a lot of challenges and setbacks. How do you balance the needs of different stakeholders, be it from your teammates, from the upper management, from the clients, from the customers? Because I also heard that a fun fact about you that says, if I approach you with a problem thinking of a standard outcomes, I would be surprised from hearing your response in an angle that I didn't think of. So what do you say about it?
Absolutely. So, like I said, listening is the first and foremost skill capability that you have to build, right? Because you're interacting with different kind of people in different functions with who have different agenda or motivation or intent for and a say in a particular program, right? There might be some stakeholders who are directly impacted, there might be some stakeholders for whom the program or initiative doesn't they don't care about it, but they still need to contribute to it in some way, because that is the end goal. So listening and identifying things which drive each stakeholder is something which helps me bring people together, right? um, when you listen, and you have a framework of the stakeholder matrix in terms of who is the most important stakeholder, who is just needs to be informed or who just needs to be consulted, and what drives them, or what do they need, or what is their expectations from somebody who's program managing this entire initiative. The second thing is thinking outside the box, right? Most of the times, all of us are so focused on the problem, that we think only in one direction. So sometimes it's better to zoom out completely and see the larger picture, which helps me think outside the box and drive my team towards thinking in a direction which basically helps them go, wow, I didn't think about this, or there are 10 different ways to solve the problem, or there are 10 different ways to approach this problem and get to a solution that we want to get to. And trust me, listening is the most important skill that comes in picture here. Once you listen, you collect the data, then you analyze the data, and then you come up with the best possible solutions or approaches that are feasible and addresses each stakeholder's need, from the perspective of where they would be supportive of the program.
So to summarize of what you just explained, One is to listen to the stakeholders, and second is to think outside the box, right?
Thinking outside the box doesn't come that way. I would summarize it: listen, and when required, zoom out completely, look at all the pieces that are there as part of the puzzle or as a problem, and then that will give you a picture where it will help you think in a different direction altogether.
All right. Now, talking about a role that you also uh, have in the past few years, that is being a leader. Because I also heard that you are a great leader from what I heard, and you can you share some strategies that you use to foster a positive and collaborative work environment? How do you build relationships with your team members? How do you navigate through their ambiguity, and also relationship with other fellow leaders too? I mean, you work for more or less 2 years at Gojek, right? It's an Indonesian company where we are based, and you must have worked with people from different background, from different cultures. So how do you accomplish all this?
Look, what I believe, and my mindset is about being open and being vulnerable, right? So the more open, the more real, and the more vulnerable you are to show people your real side, they will reciprocate in the same way, which eventually helps in building healthier collaborative relationships, because they know that you're feeling different kind of emotions the way they also feel in different situations, right? um, it's about being empathetic, it's about being listening, it's about being approaching people not just for the transactional conversations but for more human conversations, right? It's not about, okay, I get into the meeting and I start, okay, you were supposed to do this, and you have not done this. That doesn't, it doesn't work that way. I am my conversations are more human. My conversations revolve around the person rather than around the work or the situation or the task at hand. It's about knowing the person to a level where I know their weaknesses, their strengths, I know their values, I know their motivation factors, I know their ambitions, I know their what they want to achieve and how they want to achieve. Like I said, it's any person who's successful uh, is successful because of the holistic approach that they have in their life, right? And my approach is to identify those areas and based on that build relationships. So whether it is building relationships upwards, downwards, or with my peers, it's revolves around that concept of being more open, real, and vulnerable, so that they reciprocate in the same way, which leads to healthier and collaborative relationships.
All right. That's really insightful, actually, and oh, we love to make this kind of two similar but different things, such as being a manager and being a leader. Do you position yourself as a manager or a leader?
I position myself as leader. Uh, like I said, being a manager, you can learn through a textbook. You can go on internet and you can see how to be a good manager, and you will have 10 bullet points and you can do that. Being a leader comes naturally to an extent, and then that build gets built based on the experiences and the life experiences you have had, not only at work but at in your personal lives as well, right? Because leadership is driven by your own value system and your own life experiences, which helps you identify things that a good leader would do in that situation. It's about walking the walk or walking the talk, as they say. If I say that I need to practice, if I tell my team that, okay, you're not going to work on weekends, or you're not going to work after hours, and if I sit and start sending emails on a weekend or after hours, it's not setting a right example, right? So that's just a small example that I'm giving, right? It's about showcasing the qualities that you want to see and the culture you want to see in your team, you need to do that first, show how it is done, and that is being a leader in any situation.
All right, that I agree because sometimes by showing we can inspire other people more than we tell them to do things, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, becoming this question is intended for those who wants to be a great program manager. And now that you are one, I believe it's not an easy path that you had during your career. And there are courses or best practices that you must follow, you must take them. How do you stay up to date with the industry trends in this role that you're doing? What can you tell these young program managers who want to follow your steps?
Right. Program management as a field, at least in the IT industry or in the software industry, is very different from program management in any other industry, right? And the field or the art or the craft of program management has evolved over a period of time. We do have PMI and standard chapters where you get a both program management certification or a project management certification. But what I found is those certifications or those approaches are more suitable for programs or industries where there are set standards of ways of working, right? Whether it is the cost that you're putting in, what is the ROI, if you're doing a construction work or if you're doing a research work or a medical work, all of that probably fits into that model. Like I said, program management here in product based companies, in software industry, is a craft. Right now, the best way to learn program management is to jump into it. Right now, it's like learn on the job. And to do that, you need to have the hunger and the fascination for the field. All right. Program management is not just sitting and taking notes, or going and setting up meetings, or taking information from one person and communicating to the other person. No, it is that is not program management. That anybody can do it. You don't need experience to do that. You can get an admin and they can do that. Program management revolves around building relationships, identifying strengths of your team, keeping the focus on the vision, always having the back of the team, collaborating with cross functional teams, understanding different motivations that are there in the team, unblocking whenever there's an issue, simplifying communication issues, and communicating that to uh, right up to the CEO if required, right? And that needs a lot of experience in terms of how you expose yourself to each of these areas. And that's why I said, if you want to get into program management, you need to have that hunger. You need to be very very adaptive and open to learning, and you need to be fascinated with the thing, saying, okay, this is something that I didn't think about. This is how what I can learn from something, right? So if you have that open mind, you can become a great program manager, and that is going to go a long way for your career.
All right. Oh, okay. So although you said that it's being a program manager is not all about taking notes and stuff, but for those who listen to us, please take notes of what Mitesh has said and apply it to your life, apply it to your career, because it will affect you great in the future, right? Okay. Now, moving on to the next question is: can you share a story about a particular rewarding experience that you had as a program manager with your teammates or with your colleagues? And can you also share about your experience working at Gojek Indonesia?
I think I'll take an example from Gojek, because at Gojek, uh, I worked with wonderful people, collaborated with extremely humble and talented people across the board, right? Although I felt at times that they were too humble, they were too nice, because they didn't want to get into conflict, or they didn't want to get into arguments. But but it was a cultural experience for me as well. Like, I hadn't worked in Southeast Asian organization before, and it was a good exposure for me to work with these wonderful people and understand the approach towards work. One of the most rewarding experiences at Gojek is, obviously, I will um, highlight it, is Gojek went IPO Goto as a Goto group on April 11th this year, and I was the program manager, um, one of the program managers who was responsible for driving this program across the board, right? Which gave me opportunity to work with not only internal Gojek teams but also Tokopedia and GTF to some extent. And you can imagine, for an organization to go IPO, the kind of preparedness that it needs uh, across the financial operations, financial terms, operational terms, legal, human resources, uh, public relations, investor relations, treasury, infosec, IT, risk, engineering, product, everything, right? So literally, I was interacting with the teams from all of these functions to ensure that there is absolute clarity for what each team needs to do in order to be for us to go to IPO. Keep that communication live, resolve dependencies and blockers and issues, and then eventually go for the final IPO readiness checklist, right? So that has been the most rewarding experience in the last 2 years. In fact, I was hired to work on it explicitly, and it's great to say that I got the opportunity and I was able to work on it.
Okay, okay. So I was intrigued when you say that you work with two nice people at Gojek because of the culture you said. Did you or have you ever tried to like provoke them to be more active, to be more agitating because you want to get more ideas from them?
Right. So, like I said, my approach is to make people talk, not to, and push them in a direction where they can think about different things, and in that direction, right? So the team that my teammates, who I was managing, I regularly push them in a direction where they could think, and that is why you would have heard that, if you go to him with a problem, he might just bring in a completely different perspective which we wouldn't have thought about, and that helps us think in that direction. So yes, I have nudged them to think in a different direction, either through a direct conversation or by giving an example, or by walking the talk and giving them examples from my own programs and experiences that I've had, and that has helped them only become a better program manager, um, so that they can do the due diligence and be ready with answers if anybody comes and asks them, right? Because as a program manager, you are the one point contact who is aware of everything that is going on in the program, and you should be capable to answer with enough data points at any time of the program.
All right, all right. Thank you very much for sharing all of this. Okay, we are going into the closing session for this interview for this session because we are almost half an hour after we started this interview. So
Okay.
for this closing session, I want to start asking: do you have any advice for young people who just started their career? Like, oh, I like at the moment. Oh, I wish I knew this when I started my career, something like that.
Okay, there are two things. One is, never ever assume that you know everything, and never feel feel shy or feel awkward about asking questions, right? It is the most important thing that you need to keep in mind. Never ever feel that you know everything, and never stop yourself from asking question, how no matter how stupid that question is. The second thing is, if you don't have a mentor, go get a mentor. um, talk to people, identify a mentor, have a mentor in your life for your career, and that is the most important thing that you can do at this. And if you're just getting started, it's the most important thing that you can do at this point of time. So these are the two things that you should always keep in mind.
Okay, those are two pieces of great advice that we had from you, Mitesh. Thank you. So the next question is it's a bit sometimes we get some funny and interesting answers from this question because uh, the question is if you were reborn today and you can be anything else you want, do you want to be a program manager again, or do you want to be like something else? Maybe I don't know. Maybe you find being a politician more interesting. Maybe because some of our past guests they answers like, oh, I wish I can be an astronaut. I don't know. It's interesting.
No, I wouldn't want to be a program manager again because I've already tried, tested, and lived this life as a program manager. Um, I would like to be a movie star.
Wow.
Um, and the reason is, again, you get to work with different kind of people, travel a lot, look good, entertain people, stuff like that, right? So on top of my head, like I said, I have multiple interests. So I could have, I could be a dancer, or I could be a photographer, or I could be an adventurist, or I could be anything. But what came to top of my mind was I would like to be a movie star, and yeah, experience that.
Do you find like becoming a movie star and becoming a product manager, like they have this same strategy to achieve the success of both of these
There
career
is
paths?
there is there is a little bit of similarity in terms of uh, for making a movie. There are multiple functions that come together.
Yeah.
Same way, the similar in a similar way for delivering any program, different functions to come together. There's a lot of human element in making a movie, as well as, like I said, you work with a lot of people. Same thing in movie. And then uh, you are your success or success of movie depends on multiple people, but then the driving factor, there is the hero, and in program management, there is a program manager who drives everything. And then there are like multiple things, or blockers or dependencies or risks come in while executing a program and while making a movie. So I can draw those similarities and say that yes, there are some similarities, and that's why it relates to me. But on the contrary, it's like completely two opposite fields, right? One is done in closed between four walls. The other one is done openly, and executed in open air. So yeah, but I would want to believe that there is the similarity which comes together.
Okay, maybe someone will watch this and then, hey, let's hire this guy to be our movie star or something. And we'd love to see that. Why not? Though?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So now, for those who watch us and listen to our podcast here, maybe some of them want to reach you. How can they reach you? Which platform do you use most actively? Social media or mentoring platform?
um I can be reached on my email and LinkedIn.
Okay, and
Those are
that
the
is
my LinkedIn is Mitesh Gandhi. I don't know. I mean, I can share it with you so that you can put it in the both my email ID and LinkedIn profile link. I can share it with you so that you can put it in the chat or on the links that you have for the video. Yeah.
okay. So
I'd,
LinkedIn and
I'd be
email.
happy
Yes.
to mentor, coach anybody who's looking for making the transition from any other function to becoming a program manager.
Yeah, that's really great because as also you advise, we have to find someone as a mentor to advance in our career. Thank you for doing that. Okay, now my last two questions. How would you describe yourself? Who is Mitesh Gandhi in 3 words?
Well, dreamer, believer, and doer, right?
Dreamer, believer, and doer. Okay, can you please elaborate them a little bit?
See, all of us dream on various aspects of our lives, but we do some of us lack the belief that these dreams can come true, right? So I dream, I believe that I can make those happen, and then just believing is not enough, but taking action and doing things is necessary. So then I go ahead and do those things, right? So dreamer, believer, and doer. Yeah.
And they are correlated with each other, actually.
Yes.
Wow, that's really good. And my last question: what is your life motto that encourages you when things are tough, or a reminder to stay positive and on track?
Um, life motto. I mean, I don't have any particular motto as such, but what I find is this too shall pass. Because no matter how tough the situation is, that's not going to be the permanent state in your life, right? The sun rises every day, the sun sets every day, and that's how the time and life progresses, right? So if the sun sets, there is moonlight. If so, you are never out of opportunities. You will never run out of opportunities, and uh, time changes very quickly, more quickly than you think. So keep an open eye. Don't get bogged down by tough times. This too shall pass.
Wow, this too shall pass. That's really great. That's interesting. All right, Mitesh. Honestly, I had a very great session with you today, and I'm personally inspired, motivated by your advice. And I do hope those who listen to us will also feel the same the way I do. And Mitesh, thank you very much for taking your time to talk to us on this
Thank you.
episode.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.